Today is the 2nd of October, and today we're going to talk about how to structure a marathon training program. And we got a special guest today, Coach Mike, the person that I credit all my success and progress to in this marathon journey, this running journey. But before we get into it all, I want to list all of his highlights and his credentials, because I think that's really important, because that's the thing that made me buy in to his tips and the structure and the program. So the list of accomplishments, and I'll pull out my phone because there's a fair bit.
Sorry about that, mate.
It's fine. So he's a 6-time marathon finisher, which includes the Berlin and Boston marathons, which are the two
of the 6 majors.
Two of the 6 majors. 2 of those are below sub 3-hour mark, which is huge. He then transitioned into doing triathlons, having completed 3 70.3 Ironmans and 2 full distance Ironman events. And now he's a running coach, mentoring athletes such as myself. Here's Coach Mike.
Thanks for that, Francis.
I got a few questions for him. So I want him to give obviously his point of view of obviously the marathon program structure. And I'll give my insights of like how I'm going in terms of like doing these runs. What am I feeling from these runs? And yeah, we'll just keep it quite casual and just go back and forth with it. What are the basics to structure a marathon program for a beginner?
Right, so I would probably break it down. There's probably different methodologies, but they're all the same. You break it down to 4. So you've got your easy runs, which are your kind of recovery runs, roughly if you're doing a marathon, 10K, 12K, but you're literally going at it easy, maybe zone 2 for those people who know what zone 2 heart rate is. And it also just adds to the mileage that you do, because with any marathon, there's mileage involved. So any marathon program will have mileage. So that's your easy runs. Then you got your long runs, self-explanatory. Marathon is 42.2 kilometers. So you got to have the distance in your marathon plan. So that basically increases your endurance and your ability to run for longer distances. Thirdly, you got your quality sessions, which for people out there, that's where you build your speed. It's not in your easy runs. It's not in your long runs, although you can do some strides in your long runs. It's through your quality sessions. So a quality session is basically, there's various types. You got your kind of short speed endurance, which helps with, your cardiovascular system and your lactate threshold. Then you got your longer endurance speed sessions, which help you maintain that speed and build, obviously, the speed leading to the marathon. And then lastly, you have your tempo sessions, which is basically the, marathon prep, or I'm stuck now.
It's okay.
Simulation. That's the word I'm looking for. Simulation. So it simulates the speed that you'll be going in for the marathon, and the mileage of those varies depending on where you're at in your marathon program, and basically you're running at the speed that you're going to be running it. So say, for example, if you're wanting to do 3-hour 20 marathon, you're probably looking at doing your tempos at say 4 minutes 44 minutes per kilometer. If you're running a sub 3, that's about 4 minutes 15 or 4 minutes 14 minutes per kilometer. On top of that, which a lot of people, including myself, neglect, but you do really well, so credit to you there, strength. You got to do your strength work, because your muscles will fatigue, your muscles will be put under load, and the better equipped your muscles are, the better you are at, surviving. I feel bad for saying surviving, because it's not like life or death, but you're basically having to make sure your body is capable of doing the work and then also running on the day. So that's basically the structure or the types of sessions you'll be doing, and you'll probably repeat that once a week.
100%. Question on everything you said there, because like if they're just starting, right? I think this is something I found quite hard in the initial Great Ocean Road marathon prep.
Yep.
Was how do you find the paces for these, you know?
So there's a number of ways. Sometimes if you're starting out, you'll have done the base work beforehand, and doing quality sessions, you kind of get a feel for what speed. Talking to a coach, if you've got a coach prior to, that helps. I like to incorporate what's called like a 5 kilometer time trial, and it's basically all out. It's for the cyclists out there, it's probably the equivalent of like a functional threshold power test or FTP test, where cyclists go hard for 20 minutes and based on that, they work out what the power is. Same with the 5K time trial, just gives, for example, as a coach, me an idea of where you're at, and then I can kind of work out roughly what your speeds would be if you're running a 10 half marathon and a full marathon. I think, but a lot of it is, you know, as a runner, you evolve and you get to know what you're capable of.
Okay. Yeah. So just going with time and experience of doing these runs, you're like, oh, okay, so these are the type of paces. Because like for me, it was like the separation of these easy runs and the fast runs. Because prior to this programming, it was just run. So it was like there was no actual. It was like I just want to push myself every time because like that's what running is. Like I'm getting to the finish line and I want to feel like I beat my old self.
Yeah.
But then there's no clear differences in terms of timing and pacing. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely, and that goes back to the fact that, you know, when you structure a marathon, you had your easy, your long, your quality sessions, and your tempos. If you run all of that at the same speed, you're just going to A, not enjoy running, B, probably get injured.
100%. I know we already spoke about like what are the type of runs that obviously are included within this marathon prep. Let's say that I'm a beginner. The main runs that I have to get in on a weekly base, if you are aiming for a marathon, you want to get at least 5.
Yep.
5 runs, right? And there's the easy, there's the quality, there's the tempo, and then there's the long run. So that's 4.
Yep.
So what the 5 would be just another easy run, or like, are these mandatory to have these? Or that's just kind of the structure and your style of...
I think it depends as well. Each person is different.
Okay.
You know, apart from running, we work, we might have a family. So you got to kind of try to juggle those things as well. That's just life. In terms of the importance of each run, look, each of those ones that I've mentioned, you know, your quality, easy, they're just as important as each other. I know, for example, people think, oh, I've got to do the quality session. I'll miss out on the easy run. And that shouldn't be the mindset. But in terms of that other run, if you've got 5 days, and that could be another easy run. You could, you might end up having to do 2 easy runs.
Okay. Yeah. So just on that one, again, it's just dependent on the goal.
Dependent on the goal, dependent on what your week looks like. You know, some people, there's nurses out there who work odd shifts and whatnot. So, they might not be able to do 5 days a week because 2 days, they're working night shift. The last thing they want to be doing after finishing at 6 a.m. in the morning is going for a quality session. I don't recommend that. But it just depends. Your long runs, obviously, being a marathon, you want to get in.
Okay, so that one's pretty like, that one out of those 4 is like...
You said it, not me.
Okay.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you try to structure that around and whatnot. The main thing is that you're not doing, for example, a long run, but the day before you do a quality session and then maybe another quality session. That's just, you're not you got to be efficient with your training. That's the main thing. Like yourself, you know, like the way yours is structured, you're not doing those kind of back to back. Because I'll ask the question for you, like if you were to do a quality session the day before a long run, how do you reckon you'd fare?
Oh, terrible. And we've experienced it as well. You know, like we've actually done it where we do a quality and then we have a long run and it feels like you got cement in your feet.
Yeah.
You're just dragging it and it's just like have no power to pull from.
Yeah.
Just fatigued. You're just so fatigued.
And the other thing also with that is that increases your likelihood of injury as well. You know, like you said, your legs feel like concrete. And then before you know it, you know, you go for an easy run and you feel a twinge.
Yeah, 100%. For someone that's going through a marathon program right now, what can they expect from going through the whole process of it?
So apart from a lot of kilometers and your social weekend's pretty much destroyed. I'm just joking. You can find balance. What you'd expect to find, or what do you expect? You know, it might be like about a 12-week program or a 3-month program. And I'd say don't be intimidated because you build. So you might start, your long runs will probably start off maybe at a shorter distance and then build up towards the marathon distance or close to the marathon distance. And then there's a taper. So your mileage will probably increase around maybe the 8th or the 9th week, possibly, depending on how your program's structured. So you'll go, you know, your mileage will increase, and then the last few weeks you'll taper. So, you know, the mileage will decrease, and you know, that'll hopefully get your body primed for the run or the marathon. The other thing is, like I was mentioning before, you know, you'll have the various types of sessions, and the intensity of those sessions, especially the quality and the tempo, will ramp up as you're going along, and then, you know, could possibly decrease depending on how your program's structured. You probably, you know, ideally you'd be wanting to run maybe 5 days a week, maybe 4 days, but varying lengths. And normally your longer runs are done on the weekend because most people work Monday to Friday. You know, they get out on Sunday morning or Saturday morning and do the long run. My suggestion is, if you're doing a marathon, keep it social, keep it fun. Find someone who's like-minded and probably the same ability, and go for a run. Have a chat.
So true. Yeah, 100%. That's definitely... I look forward to the Sunday long runs. It is like our catch-up. Like me and Chris especially, like when we catch up, it feels like we have so much to talk about because we talk about the week, and then on the actual run, because it's difficult and you go through a journey, you kind of like have epiphanies along the way. From what we've noticed, on the run. So it's actually been very, very enjoyable. Me being unable to run the past 2 long runs, I'm like, damn it, like I'm missing something. You know what I mean? And it's that social aspect that's so fun about it all.
Yeah, and the other thing I forgot to mention is you discover like trails and paths around, you know, here in Melbourne, for example, that you've never discovered before because you didn't run. Anywhere around the world, you know, there'll always be places to run or trails or favorite trails to run. It's great. It's great discovering.
How long would you recommend for someone that's wanting to do a marathon?
Look, I think you need to make the call a lot earlier, not 12 weeks prior to the marathon. You need to make the call earlier because ideally you want to build a base and you also want to start enjoying running. Because in some cases, when you get into the marathon training, or when you just go straight into the marathon training, it's intense. And if you want to give yourself the best opportunity to do well, make the call maybe 6 months, even earlier. You know, and the other thing also is with running, there's other events. You know, like, for example, with me, I started off doing a 5. I had no ambitions of doing a marathon. I was like, why would I bother? But I signed up for a 5K. 5K became 10K. 10K became 14K. 14K became half marathon. And before you knew it, I was signing up for my first marathon. So maybe do that, you know, if you're looking to start running, don't aim high necessarily. Start with a 5K. They're just as fun. They're just as intense. And then, you know, do a 10K. There's a lot of events out there, big and small, that you can try to practice and then go into a marathon. Because I think one of the things, this is what I preach, you have to respect the distance. It's 42 kilometers. It's not a walk in the park. You know, 42 kilometers, I think, you know, if you live in Melbourne, that's from Melbourne to, I don't know.
Like Cranbourne.
Cranbourne, yeah. It's a fair distance. So, you know, appreciate it, respect it. And, you know, if you do that, you know, you'll enjoy the journey.
Obviously, if, let's say that they were like planning like 6 months, right? Like build the base, whatever, and then they do the 12-week program, training block, sorry. How do you stay motivated for that whole 12 weeks? Because that's a long time, right? That's like what, three months?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 3 months of work. How do you stay motivated in that training block? Because I've seen it. Like people are like, I'm gonna do it, let's do it, and then very high excitement at the start, and then it's like a battle of attrition. Who's gonna last all the way till it actually gets to race day? You know what I mean? Because that's happened to me. I said in 2020 I was gonna do it, and then I tried multiple times to do it, and like life gets in the way, and you just fall off. You know, like it just doesn't become that goal anymore.
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of things you can do. You can sign up for the marathon 6 months to a year in advance. I mean, they're expensive. So you've signed up and you're more vested in it. You know, I know a lot of people that have gone, I'm going to do the marathon. Don't sign up, you know, until maybe 3 weeks you know, before 2 weeks before the marathon. And that's not the approach, because once you've paid, you're all in, right? I mean, the other thing also, if you've got 6 months, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of smaller races that you can do. So they're little milestones that you can look forward to. Oh, you know, I'm going to do the 5K at Run Melbourne, for example, or I'll do the Run for Kids, which here in Melbourne is a massive event. I think they get like 30,000. So, you know, you have those things to kind of look forward to, and they drive you as well. The other thing, like I said, you know, if you're able to train with someone who's like-minded and of similar ability, that makes it fun as well, because you have that competitive nature as well. So there's a lot of things you can do to keep yourself motivated. And I think that's where, you know, maybe someone like a coach is great, or joining a running club is great, because, you know, you might get a bunch of club members doing a run, and you go together, and it's a big social event, and yeah, it just motivates you. So those would be my suggestions.
Yeah, and I agree with all of them, to be honest. Like, till I actually made the financial commitment of signing up to a marathon, it was all just words. Till I actually was like, oh, like you pay it, and like, oh, okay, now I'm actually in. That's when the Great Ocean Road actually happened. Because I said I was going to do the Nike Marathon in 2020, but I didn't buy the ticket. It was available, but I didn't buy the ticket because I was like, I didn't really believe I was going to do it. You know what I mean? So like, that's one. Two, running with someone. Actually, Chris is above me, to be fair, and like having that reach of like, I'm gonna get to where he's at. That's actually like a big motivating factor. It's like he always feels like he's one step ahead in the most best of ways. You know, and it was just like I was able to push and pull from that.
You get the best out of yourselves. You know, just through that friendly competitive nature.
100%. No, I 100% agree with all that. Do you have anything to add on top of how to structure a marathon training block, or anything you want to add to it?
I'd say enjoy the ride. You know, sometimes marathons, you do all the training and sometimes you don't get the time that you want, rather than it disappoint you. And I'm not forecasting that, you know, you're going to, or anybody out there that's listening, you know, you go through the program and you won't do well. But shit happens. and it's how you bounce back from that, I think. Because and running really should be, and I'm not forcing this upon people, but it should be a lifestyle. It shouldn't just be a one and done. I think there's so many benefits to running, and even outside of marathon training, you know, just to go out there, you know, I'm looking outside and it's a nice day. It's, you know, it's nice to be out there and getting the fresh air and getting your exercise and yeah, just clearing the mind as well. Running is as much for mental health as it is for physical health, I think.
100%. Sorry, that was like to end the thing, but like I thought of another question while you were just talking. What have you gained from doing like a marathon / doing these marathon training blocks? Like, what are the main things that you've gotten out of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. That I'm able to back myself. You know, it definitely builds self-confidence. There's not many people in the world that do marathons, so, you know, you kind of feel special. Yeah, the ability to push myself, knowing that I can do it running, I feel like I can do it in life in general. I think marathon running is sport reflected in life, or life. That's right, sport reflected in life.
Yep.
You know, a marathon, you know, when you go through a marathon, you're going to have your ups and downs. You get to the finish line, you know, that's, you've survived, you've problem solved, you've, you know, physically and mentally brought yourself to the finish line. Knowing you can do that, you feel like you can do anything in life. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. I definitely have felt those feelings already from doing the first one and like going through this process right now for the Melbourne Marathon. And yeah,
I think, and I've just remembered this. I mean, the other thing with running is there's so many events around the world, and, you know, it's taken me to places overseas, you know, running all these different events, meeting different people. You know, I've ran events in Canada, like you said, you know, I've done the Boston, I've done the Berlin Marathon. You know, I was able to do the half Ironman in the Philippines, close to my dad's town. You know, it takes you everywhere, and you get to see different people and visit, you know, different places. So, you know, heck, plan a holiday around a marathon, I say.
Yeah. And like that may sound crazy to some people, where they're like, why would I want to do that around a holiday? You know what I mean? But it's, if it's for like people like myself, where like I like to travel, but I like to do hard things. It's weird. It's like I actually see like a bigger benefit for me to travel. Like, it actually excites me to travel more if I set like a goal to like run over there.
Yep.
In a weird reason, because like before I was like, I don't need to travel, but now I'm like, I wouldn't mind traveling to Berlin. I wouldn't mind going to Boston. You know what I mean? It's just like, just so you could do the race and then you could like adventure out around there. You know what I mean? Because you get to explore more. Like I feel like I've seen so much of Melbourne now because of the running.
Yep.
I found all these cool, quirky spots, like that place in Collingwood where you go through the farm. Is it Collingwood?
Yeah, that's part of the Capital City Trail.
A part of the Capital City Trail. You're running and it feels like you're in the Lord of the Rings. It's so trippy. You're just like, I'm in inner city, but it feels like I'm in farmland. It's the craziest thing, but it's so fun.
Yeah. And that's the thing about running, you know, you discover new places.
100%. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. How can people find you?
That's a very interesting question.
The hardest question.
Because I'm not on social media, and so I think I'm in a bit of a pickle there. But maybe what they do is they reach out to you in the first instance, and yeah, happy to chat after.
Yeah, 100%. And make sure you check out his podcast, Why Endure. I'll put it down below. I already put it down below anyway, but now you know it's down below to listen to all endurance athletes, you know, what they actually go through. And it's pretty amazing. It's amazing to see their point of view of like why they actually do what they do, especially in the sport of endurance sports.
And each person has their own journey. So, you know, don't feel like your journey is lesser or not as important as other people.
100%. To finish off this video, I'll do obviously a bit of update of where we're at in terms of like training program, and then I'll get obviously coaches' thoughts on everything too. At the moment, we are 13 days out.
Woo!
Yeah, 13? 12. No,
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, so we're 13 days out from Melbourne Marathon, and at the moment, I'm dealing with a little bit of a niggle.
You didn't cause another niggle there, did you?
On my left calf, so that's kind of put me out a little bit for these runs. Lucky enough, this happened post peak week. So
yeah, you just came back from, came off peak week.
Yeah.
But, these things happen.
Yeah.
And you're cross training, so.
Yeah, 100%. So I've been doing a lot of cycling right now, and that's been an interesting introduction to another endurance sport. And it's crazy to me because I'm just like, okay, this is the appeal of endurance. Like it has that same, like 10 minutes in, I want to stop already. You know what I mean? A bike, and like I'm going easy zone 2, but it's just the burning of the quads where I'm like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
Maybe I need to analyze your cycling.
Probably. Definitely. You definitely need to analyze my cycling. But yeah, cross training right now, really stepping up the strength training. I'm actually going to see a strength and rehab coach in Cranbourne, which I might film. We'll see. Today at 11, 20 minutes I'm going to go. And I'm excited to see how, because like me getting this niggle, for me, it's showing that, because prior to this niggle, I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm like, everything's on lock. I'm running good. My strength training's good. And stretching, recovery is all good. And I thought I had it on lock. And like this happening made me realize I don't have it on lock. You know what I mean? So it allows me to think there's still more room for growth for me to see what I'm actually capable of. Obviously, it's a little bit frustrating considering how close we are to actual race day. But for me, it's like, it's all a part of this journey of the marathon journey, essentially. Yeah.
100%. And a marathon program, the ups and downs, it's a reflection of life as well.
Yeah.
You're able to problem solve through this, and we'll get you primed and ready to go on October 15th?
October 15th.
Sunday, October 15th. If you're in Melbourne, go out and watch.
100%. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the crowds, the energy, experience it all, because yeah, when we did Great Ocean Road, it was amazing, but it was a lot of solitude. You're running on the road and you're just getting smashed by the wind. So it's just kind of like you and the wind. I was with Chris majority of it, fell off a little bit and he went ahead. But then that solitude by yourself, it's like, you really got to pull it out from within. And this time it's like, you're able to push and pull from the crowds. I'm like, I'm excited to see what that's going to be about.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, 100%. So that's the current update. We've got 13 days. We're going to push hard, going to do everything necessary and everything in my power to get to the race start line and give it my all.
Let's go!
Let's go and let's get it.
Sorry, man, I got to take a leak.
Yeah, go ahead. You take a leak, bro. You take a leak. Just jump.